What's going on YouTube? It's the Middle School Math Man with a video for you on domain and range. So this video is just going to be, different representations. In these representations, you're going to see that the specific points are known. So these are not the continuous graphs that go on and on forever. I will do another video on that. Those tend to be the harder ones or the more confusing ones to grasp at first. So the first representation, I could just give you the ordered pairs. So what I've underlined in light blue, those are all the x values. So that's going to be my domain. Domain are always my x values. So I'm going to put these in order from least to greatest. That's how I'm going to represent the domain and range. So I have -1, 0, 2, 3, and 5. I'm now going to underline my y values in yellow. So my range, those are always my y values. And again, it's going to be in order from least to greatest. Notice how I have two -5s. When you have a number that's represented multiple times, you only have to write it once. So I have two -5s. I also have, well, I'll get there. I have one -3. I also have two -2s. So again, I only have to write that once. So that's my domain and range. This is a function because there are no repeated x values. Moving on to the second representation, I could give you a table. So my domain, again, my x values, least to greatest, I'm going to have -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. So we can already tell that this is going to be a function because there are no repeated x values. My range, again, least to greatest, so I'm going to have 0. I have two 1s, so I'm just going to write that once, 2, and 3. So that's my domain and range for that function. So what we have here, this is called a mapping. So I have my x values, I have my y values. So here I'm just going to have -3, -2, 1, and 5. It's my domain. In my range, I'm going to have -2, 0, and 3. And that, again, is a function because there's only one arrow coming off of each x value. Finally, I could give you a graph. This graph, obviously you can see the specific points. So what I'm going to do is my domain, again, is my x values. So I'm concerned with the x-axis right now, which I've just gone over with in green. So I'm going to start, when I'm looking for the domain, on the left side of the graph, and I'm going to work my way to the right. Because again, we want it in order from least to greatest. So I'm just going to start on the left side, where it'll be the least, and then I'm going to work my way to the right to get to the greatest. So my first point here in the third quadrant, that's at -3 on the x-axis. Working my way to the right, then my next point is going to be at -2. I have 2 points on x equals 1. So that's going to tell me right there that it is not a function. And I only have to write it once. And my last point is right there on the x-axis at 4. So that's my domain. So now with the range, we are concerned with the y-axis, which I'm highlighting in yellow. So now for my range, I'm going to kind of do the same thing, except now I'm going to start from down at the bottom and work my way up to the top because I want an order from least to greatest. So my first point is down there in the third quadrant, and that is at -4 on the y-axis. My next point is over there in the fourth quadrant at -2. I have that point there on the x-axis, which is at 0 on the y-axis. working my way up. In the first quadrant, I have a point at 3 on the y-axis, and finally in the second quadrant, I have a point at 5 on the y-axis. Again, like I said earlier, this is not a function because I have two points on x equals 1, so I have repeated x value of 1.